Welcome back to Dead Good Book Reviews. I'm Judith and you're watching another What I'm Reading Right Now video here on the channel. This is the series where I talk about what I have been reading, what I'm currently reading, and what I'm going to be reading next. It is Wednesday the 3rd? Yes, Wednesday the 3rd of May. We're in a whole new month. I am geared up and ready to go. I have not been reading as much as I was last week, but it's okay, don't worry about it. Everything's fine. I would say most of what I've been doing since the last time we spoke is being away and visiting my family, which was very lovely, but I got no reading done, and then trying to catch up from last week. So I'm now neutral on this week. Anyway, doesn't matter, let's talk about it. I've read 4.5 things, possibly 5, depending on how you're counting it. Let's go. First up, I finished Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. This is a reread for Overbooked, my series where I'm talking about all of my books. I really enjoyed rereading this. I do think I stand by what I said last week, which is that there's some things that are a little bit just not something I think you'd necessarily include in a book now, but with my nostalgia lenses firmly put into my glasses, I do think that I'm having a good time with it. And I'll be interested to see how I feel about books 2 and 3, which are the ones I've read less. So I am about to start those. But before we come on to that, I finished The Final Strife by Sarah El Arifi. This is the first book in the Ending Fire trilogy, which I learned last week but did not apparently remember. I did this via audiobook and I very much enjoyed it. I think pretty much my opinion of it stayed the same from the first time I read it, which is that it is a solid book that kind of bridges that YA to adult divide, and if you want to read it, you have to suspend belief a little bit, because some of the fantasy elements of the story are quite fantastical indeed. I have started the Battle Drum, but I read 1 page, so I haven't even logged it as started, because I've just not had the time, but I am going to be reading that this week. I finished The Shadow Cabinet by Juno Dawson. This is the sequel. I'm going to shuffle over because I'm just leaning so that the cover will fit in. I finished The Shadow Cabinet, which is the sequel to Her Majesty's Royal Coven. It is the second book in what I hope is a trilogy, but I genuinely don't know. The third book is going to be called Human Rights, but R-I-T-E-S. I love the titles for this series. I thought this was really good. I think I actually personally liked it a little bit more than book 1. I think book 1 has a stronger message overall, but I found that book 2 really let me get into the world in a way that book 1 didn't, and I really enjoyed it. And I think I've got like 8 videos to film today and I keep saying these things. I'd really like to make a dedicated review, at the very least for Patreon, and do kind of an uncut version. This is one of those books where it's the fantasy secret society alongside the modern day, and there is Royal Coven, and in this one we get to see much more of the world at large. And I also finished Alice Payne Rides. This is the sequel to Alice Payne Arrives. This is by Kate Hartfield, and it's a novella about time travel and finding the right timelines and time war and so such. I didn't like this as much as the first book. I think overall I'm glad that I read these 2 novellas, but I wouldn't say that they're anything to write home about. And if you want to read about a time war, just read This Is How You Lose the Time War. That would be my suggestion. And then my half-finished thing is I finished Silver in the Wood, but because I'm doing it by audiobook in a bind-up of Silver in the Wood and The Drowned Country, I'm counting it as like a half book because it won't count as a whole book on Storygraph. Entirely arbitrary. Proof that reading challenges are largely just whatever we decide that they are, but I did finish that. It's a reread of multiple rereads. I had a lovely time with it. It's just so good. I really like anything that tackles folklore, and I think every time I read it, it's just a little bit more of a deep dive into this woodsy, wonderful world, which follows Tobias, who is the man of the wood, the man of Green Hollywood, and he gets approached by Henry Silver, who is the new lord of the local manor, and things ensue. Really lovely novella. Excited to read the sequel, probably on my dog walk today. So because I'm pants at reading at the moment, and it's Wednesday, and I haven't really picked up anything from this week's list, apart from Silver in the Wood, I do have quite a lot to be getting on with. I want to finish Days of Blood and Starlight and Dreams of Gods and Monsters by Laini Taylor to finish off that trilogy. Looking at them now, that looks like a bit of a tall order, but they're rereads, so it should be quick enough. And then more Laini Taylor. It's a very Laini Taylor filled week. I will be reading Strange the Dreamer. Again, looks very long. I think it'll be fine. I just need to dedicate some time to sitting down and reading. I already mentioned The Battle Drum. I'd really like to finish that this week as well. And then lastly, I have Bloodhound by Tamara Pierce. You'll remember months and months ago I read Terrier, which is the first book, and I was semi-sold on it, and then I didn't have time to read the sequels, and this is just one of those examples of me bumping things in my schedule. I bumped it all the way to May, and here we are in May, and I'm going to be reading it. Maybe looking down at this pile of pages in front of me. It'll be fine. I'm busy this weekend, but not that busy. It'd be okay. Looking ahead into next week, you can probably predict some of the things I'm going to be reading, like Muse of Nightmares, which is just out of frame, sorry, will definitely be coming up if I finish Strange the Dreamer. The most exciting thing I want to talk about is I will be reading Gods of the Weirdwood by R.J. Barker. I'm so excited for the start of a new R.J. Barker trilogy, and like I say, I like woodsy books, so woods, it's going to be a good time. I hope it's actually foresty. Shuffling through the tabs of my spreadsheet in order to give you the latest information, I have added 2 and a bit books to my TBR this week, and a bit because one of them's a library book, but let's start with the review copies. I got a digital review copy of Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldry. This is the follow-on. It's not a sequel, but it is his next book since Legends and Lattes. I'm really excited to read this. I really hope it's good. Bone Dust, it sounds like it's going to be for me, but we'll find out together. And then I have Raven Song, which is the sequel to Wolf Song by TJ Klune, which I'm looking forward to reading, but I need to set more time aside for myself than I set for Wolf Song, because Wolf Song was longer than I thought it was going to be. And then my library book, I won't hold up the front cover because it's a little bit disturbing in a little bit of a way, but this is Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo, the sequel to Ninth House. I'd been wanting to read it, I saw it come up in the library, and I thought, I'll grab that, I'll have time. We'll find out. It's due back in a few weeks. New releases, let's touch on them. On my list, which as ever is a little bit out of date at all times, so just bear in mind these pub dates are liable to change. Rory Power, the sequel to In a Garden Burning Gold, which is In an Orchard Grown from Ash, is out. I do actually have the audiobook of the first book on script, so I might finally read it and stop talking about it, because I don't think I'm going to enjoy it, but for some reason it's really stuck in my head as a book I should read. I can't explain my internal workings to you, it's just how it is. And the other new release I want to talk about is The Sword Defiant by Gareth Hanrahan. If you want to know my thoughts on this, check out last week's video where I read it. I really enjoyed this. Again, would love to make a dedicated review. I might have to cut it out of tonight's Patreon livestream and just let it exist there. I really enjoyed this book. I think it's great and I'm excited for more people to have read it. I think that's everything I wanted to talk about this week. Hopefully next week I will be telling you about the huge quantities of books I've read and that I'm totally caught up with myself and everything's fine. Future Judith, is that the case? We'll see. What have you been reading? What have you been up to? I would love to hear from you. Let me know down in the comments below. While you're down there commenting, if you haven't already, please do subscribe. It makes me feel loved and appreciated. Thank you so much for getting me over 3,000 subscribers. That's wild and amazing, and I'm so grateful for all of you for being here. While you're down there, you can also follow me on social media if you're that way inclined. You can come hang out on Discord where we have chill chats about books. I want to say the most gargantuan thank you to all of the ghosts. The ghosts who haunt me on Patreon. They support the channel and in return get early access to videos, bonus content, live streams and more. They've just got access to my April wrap-up, and I think I'm going to do something about series next week, so stay tuned for that if you are a ghost. If you want to check that out, linked in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. That's all from me, and I will see you in the next one.
It's gonna be some bloopers now.
I finished I had to get into the attic and now all of my books are in other locations and I can't find any of them.